In today's episode of Hey Azul, do I have enough money to retire? We're going to talk about a hypothetical couple that has $2 million in savings and they're 62 years old and they're wondering if they should retire now or keep working to 65. And I share the name of this episode kind of tongue-in-cheek. Lately, I've been getting asked a lot of questions about, do you have enough money to retire? You know, I wish I could tell you. Unfortunately, I can't tell you. But what I can do is I can share some things to think about, some types of questions that I'd be asking, so you can research it on your own. And I would encourage you to reach out to a fee-only financial advisor. But let's jump in and let's talk about this couple. And the first thing I'd say is, you know, for a lot of people, they could have a very, very nice retirement on $2 million. But, you know, your situation, if you're this hypothetical couple, your situation might be different. So let's talk about that. And the first thing I want to ask a couple like this, and you know, it's kind of direct, but it's your financial advisor's job to be direct, is, you know, what's the health of your relationship, assuming they're a married couple? You know, is it likely that you're going to stay together over the next quarter of a century of retirement? Because if you divorce, well, $2 million, like I said, a lot of people could retire very comfortably on that. If you're divorced, then, you know, let's just hypothetically say that you split the benefits, not the benefits, but the asset base, you know, that leaves you $1 million each. And that retirement's going to look quite a bit different. So that would be the first question. The next question I'd talk about is, you know, what's your health? Are you likely to live? Is one of you likely to live 25, 30 years or more? Because if one of you have a health issue and you're not likely to make it past 10 years, let's say, maybe have a cancer diagnosis. I hope this is nobody's situation here. But that's a whole different ball game as well, right? And I think any one of us, if we were given 1 year to live and we were in that situation, well, of course you're going to retire and you're going to, you know, try to spend time with the people you love and do the things maybe that you're not going to have time to do, unfortunately, if you're in that situation, right? So that would be another thing that I would talk to you about. The next thing would be, you know, where are these accounts held? What type of accounts is this money held in? Is it in a regular IRA or is it in a Roth IRA? Is it in a taxable account like your local bank account? Because that's going to determine the taxability of any cash flows that you take out of the accounts. I say a Roth IRA and Roth 401ks, I call those tax me never accounts, right? You don't get the tax break when you put the money in, but then you don't get taxed on the way out. And then the regular IRAs, the regular 401ks, those are don't tax me now, but tax me later accounts. And then finally, you have the account like at your local bank account, which is what I call a tax me as I go account. And it's super important that you have a mix, preferably of all three of those. I call it the 3-bucket strategy. If you want to learn more about that, I've got a video up here that talks about it. Okay, so, you know, where are the accounts held? What's the tax nature of that? We talked about what your health is. And then the next thing would be, you know, what does retirement look like for you? You know, how much money are you looking to take out of your account each year? And, you know, we only get to spend the after-tax dollars. So, you know, what does it look like from an after-tax standpoint? And then if it's all coming out of a regular IRA, we've got to assume, obviously, it's going to be taxable and what the impact of that is. So, you know, what does retirement look like? And like I said, you know, a lot of people would love to be in that situation where they have $2 million to retire. So yes, you can have a very nice retirement, but is it the retirement that you want to have? And that's a different goal. For some people, you know, if they feel their retirement is going to be sacrificial, let's say that they're living on $100,000 a year or $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year. For some, you know, $200,000 a year, can you live on that with a $2 million portfolio? You might be able to, depending on what your other income streams are, right? Do you have a pension? When are you going to take Social Security? Do you have any rental income coming in? But let's assume that the only thing you have is that $2 million account. You know, you probably cannot take $200,000 out a year. And I know that sounds like a lot of money to some people, but for other people, that's just the life that they've lived for a while. And frankly, you know, they'd rather continue working rather than have their lifestyle go down. And, you know, one of the premises of my channel is none of what I share here is prescriptive. I'm not saying anybody should do anything, right? You do you, you know, what gives you joy. And if you're really enjoying living on $200,000 a year, great. You know, just, of course, understand that there's trade-offs associated with that, which people do. So, you know, what does retirement look like to you on that? And then, you know, are you willing to make the sacrifices that you might need to make in order to retire early? And then I would remind them, you know, it's their decision whether they continue to work or not. But if they're leaning that way, you know, I'd also share that, you know, there's different types of risks. There's the risk with your portfolio, and financial advisors spend a lot of time, rightfully so, talking to their clients about the money and the quantitative aspects. But I think most of us financial advisors would be better served if we also spent an equal amount of time, or certainly more time, talking about the non-financial risk with retirement. You know, if you're 60 years old, you likely have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy active time remaining. So in this example, the couple's 62 years old, you know, they're already past that. And, you know, candidly, I'm being generous when I say that people have 1,000 weeks remaining. You know, how many people do you know are still mentally acute, physically active, in good health, have good energy at 80 years old, which is 1,000 weeks from 60? There certainly are some, and I hope to be one of those people. But it's not a given, right? So that would be, you know, the next question that I would ask them is just, you know, the risk of missing out on the things that they've always wanted to do. And you know, that can be a big price to pay, particularly if one of the spouses wants to retire now and the other one doesn't. Boy, if the one that didn't want to retire and keeps saying, oh, I'm going to work one more year, I'm going to work one more year. By the way, what are the four most dangerous words for people that are approaching retirement? Just one more year, right? Four words. If you want to learn more about that subject, I've got a video that I share up here that you should know about. So I should also mention, I talked about the 3-bucket strategy, how your money, you know, what type of accounts your money's in. I've also got a video on there that I think would be helpful. In the 62-year-old couple's example, in this example, you know, if they're both 62, they have 3 years until Medicare kicks in. So what are they going to do about healthcare insurance during that period? If you want to learn about healthcare insurance, I've got a video on that up here. So, you know, I talked about what does risk look like from a missing out on the most active years. There's also, you know, what does risk look like from your investment portfolio? And is that going to keep you up at night? Is that going to rob joy from you in retirement? Because remember, the 4% rule, that's based on a portfolio. And basically, the 4% rule says, you know, in general, you don't want to bank on it, but, you know, ballpark, you can spend about 4% of the value of your portfolio a year. If you want to learn more about that, I've got a video up there on it as well. But, you know, is that going to keep you awake at night if you have a portfolio that's at least 60% equities? That's not a low-risk portfolio, but that's what the 4% rule is based on, 60, 70% equity. So you've got to be comfortable with volatility, and if you're not comfortable with volatility, if that's going to keep you up at night, then, you know, these are all complicated things, and you should work with a financial advisor. And you should also see this video that I have up here that talks about the average income of retirees at the age of 65. In this video here, which talks about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. Give this video a like. As the kids say, thumbs for likes, subs for love, and comments for Azul. I love reading your comments. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.